This is Audible.
Recorded Books presents Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Narrated by Rebecca Soler with Teddy Hamilton. To my fellow zebras, not all strength is physical. Iron Flame is a non-stop, thrilling adventure fantasy set in the brutal and competitive world of a military college for dragon riders, which includes elements regarding war, psychological and physical torture, imprisonment, intense violence, brutal injuries, perilous situations, blood, dismemberment, burning, murder, death, animal death, graphic language, loss of family, grief, and sexual activities that are shown on the page. Readers who may be sensitive to these elements, please take note and prepare to join the revolution. The following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Jacinia Neal-Wart, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basgiath War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malak. Part 1. An excerpt from Public Notice 628.85, transcribed by Sorella Neal-Wart. In this, the 628th year of our unification, it is hereby recorded that Eratia has been burned by dragon in accordance with the treaty ending the separatist movement. Those who fled, survived, and those who did not remain entombed in her ruins. Chapter 1. Revolution tastes oddly sweet. I stare at my older brother across a scarred wooden table in the enormous busy kitchen of the fortress of Eratia and chew the honeyed biscuit he put on my plate. Damn, that's good. Really good. Maybe it's just that I haven't eaten in 3 days, since a not-so-mythological being stabbed me in the side with a poisoned blade that should have killed me. It would have killed me if it hadn't been for Brennan, who won't stop smiling as I chew. This might go down as the most surreal experience of my life. Brennan is alive. Venin, dark wielders I'd thought only existed in fables, are real. Brennan is alive. Eratia still stands, even though it was scorched after the Tirish rebellion 6 years ago. Brennan is alive. I have a new 3-inch scar on my abdomen, but I didn't die. Brennan is alive. The biscuits are good, right? He asks, snagging one from the platter between us. Kind of remind me of the ones that Cook used to make when we were stationed in Caldir, remember? I stare and chew. He's just so him. And yet he looks different from what I remember. His brownish-red curls are cropped close to his skull instead of waving over his forehead. And there's no lingering softness in the angles of his face, which now has tiny lines at the edges of his eyes. But that smile, those eyes, it's really him. And his one condition being me eating something before he takes me to my dragons? It's the most Brennan move ever. Not that Tairn never waits for permission, which means, I, too, think you need to eat something. Tairn's low, arrogant voice fills my head. Yeah, I reply in kind, mentally reaching out for Andarna again, as one of the kitchen workers hurries by, offering a quick smile to Brennan. There's no response from Andarna, but I can feel the shimmering bond between us, though it's no longer golden like her scales. I can't quite get a mental picture, but my brain is still a little groggy. She's sleeping again, which isn't odd after she uses up all her energy to stop time, and after what happened in Resin, she probably needs to sleep for the next week or so. You've barely said a